Welcome to An Author Dissects a Narrative with your host, Husna Haze. In this captivating series, we will unravel the intricate tapestries of your favorite movies, TV shows, games, books, and beyond. Prepare to embark on a journey of analysis and exploration as we uncover the hidden gems and profound themes within these beloved narratives. Remember to show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing for a regular dose of insightful content. Let's delve into the realms of storytelling together. Welcome back to the Deconstructed Universe. That's right, we're back, and we're back with House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 6. So obviously I was excited for this last episode, and I feel like consistently I've been giving these episodes of House of the Dragon Season 3 like really good, stable rankings. Like, it's been like straight B's since episode 1, and I feel like this episode was really slow and it's not really picking up what I like, how I wanted it to do. Like, I thought like we're gonna see more battles, things escalate a bit more, and I feel like this was a bit of a filler episode. So we open up with obviously Sir Criston Cole. Now he basically dies, and I don't really have much to say about that, apart from when the scene opened up, I did think that it was a bit of an ambush, and when he did realize it was an ambush, he pulled out Alicent's handkerchief that she gave him. Obviously that, like, back in like medieval times, giving somebody like a handkerchief or like a piece of cloth was like a favor upon them. So like obviously he pulled it out and it was clean, crisp. And I was like, that is so hilarious that he's like dirty, just like rolled around in the mud, like he'd gone through it, and he managed to keep this piece of handkerchief clean. So obviously like his plans of dying in glory have come true. And I wouldn't say it was more like dying in glory, more like dying in ambush and just embarrassment, because why? I don't know. I just don't like Sir Criston Cole. I am sorry. I don't like him. And I feel like most of the fandom doesn't like him, which is to each their own. But honestly, he's gone now. Is it impacting the story in any way, shape, or form that is like important? No. But I just have to say Gwaine Hightower really did save his life when he picked up his stuff, when he packed up his stuff, when Criston was giving all those speeches about dying in glory and songs that Alicent is gonna hear. Like, when Gwaine heard that, he was like, oh, this is a suicide mission. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick up my little duffel bag and pack my little like to-go bag. Like, I don't know, I've got a toothbrush, some clothes, I don't know what else he packed in his little to-go bag, threw that thing over his back and just walked off and headed to Tumbleton. And I was just like, Gwaine, you really did save your life, because Criston was literally marching towards the end. I mean, from the first season, actually no, from not from the first season episode, but from like last season, season 2, from season 2, where like the battle started and he was like, oh, Dragonfire raining down, oh, like he's been straight depressed. And ever since then, Criston has been like on this whole thing of just like dying in glory and like depressed and like, I don't know, like whatever he's been giving like, I'm on a mission to not be here anymore. And like, I've already given him more time than I intended to give him, but like, at least he's gone. Okay, he's gone. He's of no consequence. He's gone. And then we go to King's Landing, where Rhaenyra is having another council meeting. And I don't know about these council meetings, but all I know is that they talk a lot in these council meetings, and I don't know if a lot is being done. Obviously, Daemon is in there, and he's still pissed about his friend Luther Largent obviously being, offed, and they still don't know who's assassinating the gold cloaks, and Daemon is very upset about it. And we see the Lady Sabbath Frey and the Master of Coin are just chatting in there, because obviously Daemon is like, I'm gonna like go and take the dragon to Tumbleton and like burn them all like we should have. And Lady Sabbath of Frey is like, yeah, obviously hop on your dragon, because that's like something that's known for precision in wartime. And that just had me flashing back to when Daemon was fighting in the Stepstones with Lord Corlys, and there was this guy on the floor who was just like so happy that Prince Daemon was there to, provide aerial support and to come and save them and just like turn the tide of the battle, and got crushed under Croax's foot. And I'm like, Lady Sabbath of Frey, you are onto something, because these dragons are not as precise as these people really want them to be, okay? They are not. If you're on the ground and dragon is up in the sky, you are very much either going to get crushed, even if you're on the side of the person with the dragon, or you're going to get burnt up, because fire, once it lands, it spreads. So anyway, I was just like, yes, Lady Sabbath Frey, you're saying something important there, and I feel like really hurt Daemon in a really bad way, because he tossed something at his fellow council members. I was like, oh, Daemon, use your words. Are you a 2-year-old right now, just tossing things to people when you don't get your way or you don't like what they're saying? But then what am I expecting? It's Daemon, okay? It's Daemon. And what can I say about this council meeting apart from these people are having a lot of council meetings, okay? Team Black is having a lot of council meetings, and Team Green is basically in shambles, okay? We've got, Tylen Lannister, and we've got, Aegon, and we've got Larys Strong, obviously, and then we've got Ormond Hightower. And that's about it for Team Green. And I just wanted to say again that Ormond Hightower is really carrying Team Green. Without Ormond Hightower, this would not even be a thing, okay? It wouldn't even be a battle, okay? And I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I feel like this episode was really slow. It really slowed down, and I feel like I've been giving these episodes really stable rankings. Like, they've been stable Bs, like I've mentioned before, but, like, I don't know what it is with this episode. It was really slow. I'd like to say it was character motivated and character driven, but it was just, I don't know, I feel like it was a filler episode. So yeah, we've got another council meeting on Team Black where still they're pressuring Rhaenyra to make a decision, and Rhaenyra's like very close and frustrated to making the decision, and they're just like holding her back. And this gave me like flashbacks to when Daenerys had her council and Daenerys wanted to, use force, and they were all telling her, no, don't use force, da 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 da. And I'm like, sometimes you gotta use force. But at the same time, you've got Mysaria, who's worried about the people, which is fine. Somebody has to worry about the people, because these people clearly don't care about the people that they're trying to rule over, which is hilarious. Anyway, that's about it for the council meeting. Okay, like, I know I said I was done with this council meeting, but I have to go back, because Daemon is really, like, upset that Rhaenyra is just, like, holding back. And I'm like, Rhaenyra has cause to hold back, because either way she's gonna look like a tyrant, and eventually she will be called that. But what I'm saying is, when Rhaenyra was like, my dad wouldn't want me to do something like that, Daemon is like, and there it is. And I'm just like saying, these guys are having literal arguments between like husband and wife in front of the peanut gallery. And I'm like, guys, can't you have this conversation behind the scenes? I mean, Daemon is out here tossing goblets at people he doesn't agree with. Mysaria's out here smirking because she's happy that there's discord between the husband and wife. And then everybody else here knows that, oh yeah, these two don't really agree on everything. And I'm like, where is the PR team? Where is the PR team? And I just want to say also that in this council meeting, Rhaenyra's like, where's my army? And it's like, girl, last episode, we found out that your army's being delayed by Sir Criston. And in this episode as well, he's not a sir. He's a maester. Maester Orley is like, listen, your army is still being delayed by Sir Criston, but obviously Sir Criston's been dealt with now. So they're on the way, but I'm just saying, like, still, nothing has changed, girl. And I'm just like, this whole scene was just annoying. And yeah, so yeah, then we move on to the Baratheons send an envoy to King's Landing. And I was like, where have the Baratheons been this whole time? Okay, they betrothed Aemond to their daughter, one of the Storms. And ever since then, we haven't seen no hide, no tail of the Baratheons. So he sends his cousin and is like, listen, we're here. My cousin, our High Lord is basically fighting the Vulture King in the mountains. We're trying to guard against the Dornish threat. And Rhaenyra's like, listen, I can hang you because my son came to you guys and was under guest right and got, killed. So, like, why shouldn't I hang you? And, the envoy's like, listen, like, you can gladly have my life. Instead, Rhaenyra takes his outfits. Yeah, he takes his outfits, his belt, and his armor and is like, let me have that. And I'm just like, Sir Baratheon, staying out of this war is probably the best thing that you've done, but you are playing both sides, and I don't like that. Then we switch to Hugh and Alf taking watch over Tumbleton. And we see that Vermithor and Silverwing are very lovey-dovey, and that was just like cute. And it's also very like tragic if you know what happens to those two dragons later on. So yeah, so we have this conversation between Hugh and Sir Alf where basically Sir Alf is like, listen, like, I don't think my life has changed ever since I claimed a dragon. She won't let me do anything. I'm basically on house arrest. I'm grounded. And Sir Hugh is like, well, would you rather be back to where you were before the dragon? And he's like, no. Ulf is like, no, I would not, but I can't say my life has changed for the better. And that, I think, is an important thing to highlight here. They are not happy, okay? They're not happy. The only thing that Hugh is holding on to right now is his wife and reuniting with his wife and making his life more, like, better. As of right now, he hasn't had a conversation with his wife. He doesn't know the situation with his wife in his marriage. And we see that basically Alf is just basically like upset. Things are not going the way that he thought they were going to be. The only thing that he really wanted was to have a dragon, to just show off in front of his friends, to drink, to be happy and merry and rich. And that is not happening right now. And I'm just like, this was a very enlightening conversation to have. A very enlightening conversation that we were privy to. And I think it's going to come into play later on. And then we've got the scene with Alicent and Rhaenyra where basically Rhaenyra's like, listen, I'm going to have to double your guard and you're basically on house arrest properly now. Like, you can't even go out for walks. And Alicent's like, I accept your judgment. And Rhaenyra's like, what judgment do you have to accept? I'm making the rules and you just have to follow them. You don't have to accept anything from me. Like, this is what's happening. And I totally understand where Rhaenyra is coming from. But at the same time, I just feel like Rhaenyra is being like, I stand 10 toes and 10 fingers down for my girl, Helaena Targaryen. And as of right now, Rhaenyra has become public enemy number 1 in my book as a result of how she's handling my girl, Helaena Targaryen. Okay? Helaena is like the person that does not deserve this at all. So we have this whole scene where basically Alicent is like, just send us away, just put us somewhere else. And Rhaenyra is like, no, I cannot do that now because your cousin is basically running amok in my streets, in my city. And not only that, people can't know that Helaena is pregnant. And I feel like that should have been a red flag to Alicent. I feel the way that Alicent is operating when it comes to her daughter, to her children in general, but specifically to her daughter, it's like, are you not just clocking the tea? If Rhaenyra doesn't want people to know that Helaena is pregnant, what makes you think she's gonna let you go? And this really upset me further down the line when Alicent basically came down to talk to Rhaenyra and basically did that whole thing. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm just saying, like, at this moment in time, everybody can get it. I cannot stand anybody in this show right now, okay? I don't stand anybody in this show right now, and I'm really worried for my girl Helaena Targaryen, okay? I'm really worried for my girl Helaena Targaryen. Anyway, these two, Alicent and Rhaenyra, have a domestic, and I'm like, I totally understand where Rhaenyra is coming from, but at the same time, it's like, be nice to your sister. Like, she's your sister. Like, she really hasn't really done anything to harm you like that, okay? And then we get the scene with Damon and the Gold Cloaks, which basically turned in their resignation. The Gold Cloaks didn't even give him 12 working days. Because like when you hand in your resignation, sometimes you give them like your resignation period, which is like 14 days or like 12 working days or 7 days, or you give them like a heads up, like I'm not gonna be clocking into work after these days. Like you have until this period of time to find somebody new. They didn't even give Damon that. They're like, no, I'm out of here. We quit. And Damon is very much flabbergasted. Like, really? Like, I am the person that basically raised you guys up and made you into something respectable. And they're like, listen, we're not getting paid. And not only are we not getting paid, you want me to basically die on the job. There's no compensation coming on. There's no injury compensation. There's no life insurance. There's nothing to leave behind to my kids. I'm not getting paid. And I have like a basically 100% chance of dying on this job. I've got to quit. I can't leave my family without, first of all, 1, money, 2, a father. Okay? I got people that depend on me, girl. I gotta go. And it's like, Damon, please take notes. Take notes from a father who cares about his children, Damon. And then finally we catch up with Corlys Velaryon. I can't stand Corlys Velaryon either, because he's out here sulking about the decisions that he made. I just know that he's been out here killing the Triarchy and just leading these bandits to basically hunt down the Triarchy that went on land. And I just know he's just reminiscing about the olden days where he was like, why did I marry Laenor to Rhaenyra? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? He's just full of regrets. And we see that, is it Alan or Adam? Girl, anyway, one of his sons come up to him and is like, listen, like, the queen wants Velaryon men to come basically guard the city because the Gold Cloaks have quit. And Corlys is like, has she not had enough of me? I'm like, Corlys. Knock, knock. Knock, knock, Corlys. Knock, knock. I wanted to really knock him aside the head. Because it's like, really, Corlys? You are the reason Rhaenyra had to have illegitimate children. You are the reason that you forced your son to marry when you knew he was gay. Okay? You are the reason, okay, that this is all happening to your house. If you hadn't forced Laenor to marry into House Targaryen, okay? You already married into House Targaryen. You had a Targaryen wife, okay? A Targaryen dragon riding wife. All you had to do, Corlys, is worry about your house and your legacy, minus the Iron Throne, and you would be fine. You would not be in this situation. Rhaenys would not be in this situation. You would probably still have your children. And to go one further, I would not have made my daughter marry Daemon. Okay, because all Daemon ever cared about was Rhaenyra on the throne. Okay? Your grandchildren have not had a father, okay? He has not come and checked in on his daughters, okay? He is worried about his Gold Cloaks more than he's worried about Baela, okay? Baela, who's in the same building as him. So you being upset that all this stuff is happening, I don't care, Corlys. I don't care. Get off my screen. Get off my screen. But anyway, they have a conversation where basically he tells his son, like, listen, you can go to Driftmark and do what you need to do. But tell the queen that obviously Tywin Lannister made it onto land. He's on land. He's making his way on land. So now there's gonna be a hit out on Tywin Lannister. Okay? Now I'm worried about him, okay? I'm worried about him because I actually like the Lannisters in House of the Dragon because they're cool, okay? Cool. I don't really mind the Lannisters in general. I just mind Cersei and Jaime. Jaime could have been better. And not only could Jaime have been better, I don't like Tywin for what he did to Elia Martell and her children. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, so that's what happens between Corlys and his son. And his son basically tells him, like, listen, you're mad at Rhaenyra, but you denied me for a long time. Now you've got nothing, and you're scrambling to save your house. Now you're worried about what about me? Like, really? So he let his dad know, like, listen, you're a deadbeat too, okay? Rhaenyra, she doesn't want to give me my name, whatever, but you never gave me my name until today, okay? Like, yesterday. So what do you got to be mad about? And Corlys is gagged because it's the truth. It's the truth. Okay, and this scene with Tylan Lannister, Lara Strong, and Aegon was so funny. Like, obviously, Tylan Lannister is the only one who is not disabled at this point in time. Aegon is all burnt up to a crisp, and he's king, but he has no kingdom to rule over, no armies. And we've got, what is it? We've got Lara Strong, who's obviously got foot problems. And, obviously, like, randomly, like, obviously there's like hard labor to be done, and Highland is the only one who is, physically fit to do it. So he's the only one doing it. And, he's finished up doing all this stuff that requires manual labor. And here goes Aegon just randomly asking him, Highland, do you think I'm a terrible man? And I was like, Highland, why are you stuttering? I know, like, this came out of nowhere, out of the blue. It was like a question, like a pop quiz that you didn't know you were having. But this is the time to tell Aegon about himself, because he's low down and down in the dumps. He's got no dragon, no armies, and I know you're his advisor, and you respect him, I guess. But you don't need to stutter and tell him exactly who he is. You should have just been honest and been like, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible man. You are a bad leader. But that can all be worked out. Instead, Tylan is literally like stuttering, just can't give a straight answer, to the point that Laris is just looking at him like, just looking at him. And I'm like, Tylan, this was your time. This was your one time to just be like truthful. You know what I mean? Just be truthful and just tell him, like, listen, you're a bad person, okay? You're a bad person. You don't really have any talents. People just follow you because of your title, but you can still work and become a better king, You still have time because you're still alive and breathing. This could have been a time for a good pep talk. Instead, Tylan was stuttering. And then we switch to the Vale, and we see that, obviously, my girl Rhea is here. Rhaena. My girl Rhaena is here. Now, Rhaena sees some dragons in the background flying away, and I thought that these were like dragons coming for her, but obviously it was not it. It's obviously Baela and, their uncle. And she's like just miserable and sad, and obviously the lady Jane Arryn drags her in for, a council. And she's like, listen, I told you to stay low. Rhaenyra thinks that the rider of Sheepstealer is, dead. So why are you flying about in open? Like, what is happening? All you have to do is stay low. And Rhaena is like, that was my sister. And I'm like, really, Rhaena? Really, Rhaena? I can't deal with Rhaena. Rhaena, get off my screen. Okay, get off my screen. I can't stand any of these people right now. And then we see Aemond and Alyssa Rivers, and obviously they're getting closer together. I don't really care for this relationship, but I guess what we gathered from this scene is that, Aemond he needs to find Vhagar, basically. He wants to find Vhagar, and we got Alyssa Rivers is just kind of like hesitant about letting him go. Now, all this scene basically said was that, I don't know, I guess they're catching feelings. I didn't really care. So we go to the Red Keep, where Baela is basically napping on some uncomfortable stone chairs. That looked very uncomfortable. And I have to say, like, Baela is giving me very much Rhaenys energy. I don't know, like, she really reminds me of her grandmother. So we see that Alan Valerian comes in, or Alan of Hall comes in, and he's like, girl, you need to go sleep. Like, find a better position. Like, you have a bed, you have a chamber. And they have a emergency council on deadbeat daddies and how to deal with them and cope with them. And obviously, they reminisce about both their daddies being deadbeats, both their daddies not really taking them into account or consideration. And this was very sad because Daemon is literally in the same building, okay? Same building. He has not talked to his daughter once, okay? Once. Hasn't talked to his daughter once. Not even to pull her aside and be like, listen, I found your sister. This is what's going on with your sister. That whole thing that happened with the battle wasn't your fault. Nobody's blaming you. You're my daughter. I'm proud of you. He can't even do any of that. So anyway, we see that her and Alan have this conversation, and throughout that whole conversation, I was like, wow. Okay, wow. Westeros has no shortage of deadbeat daddies. It's crazy. So yeah, her and Alan have this conversation, and then her and Alan started kissing. Now, when that happened, I was just kind of like, okay, I never read any chemistry between you two. I wasn't really getting chemistry between you two. I was getting more chemistry between you and Adam, the dragon rider. I don't know. I mean, I know in the books, like, they end up getting married and being together, but I feel like this was just very much a curveball that was thrown to the audience because I didn't get chemistry from them. I don't know. I didn't get chemistry from them. I didn't get chemistry for them in order for them to just be like macking and like getting together in this scene, because it's like, I didn't really get this from you two. At least not yet. It didn't build to that. It just kind of just happened, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. That's happening. This is why I'm not happy with this episode. And then this is like some of my favorite scenes that happened was between Ormond Hightower, Daeron Targaryen, and Gwaine Hightower. So Gwaine obviously makes it back to Tumbleton and is like to Gwaine, like, listen, we need to stop whatever this is and like regroup. And Ormond is like, no, that's not happening. We're sticking to my plan, and my plan is happening. Now, when Gwaine and Ormond have this conversation, you can obviously see that Ormond is very much high and mighty. He's very much dismissing Gwaine, and Gwaine is just tired. He's exhausted, okay? He's exhausted. He's been on a road for a long time. He just barely survived Kristen Cole's plans for having a great song written about him, as in like walking towards the end. I want to say, but I don't know, like, I want to say, like, he just basically survived Kristen Cole's willingness to unalive himself in glory, basically. I don't think it was glory, though. So anyway, they have this conversation, and when this conversation happens, I was just kind of like, wow, to see this dynamic together. It really showed that Gwaine was the buffer between Ormond and Daeron. And so Ormond tells Daeron to basically show his uncle to, his room, get him showered, bathed, fed, and, basically stand up straighter. Basically get your posture together, as in people are watching. The conversation between Gwaine and Daeron was really sad to watch, because Gwaine is like, really, Your Grace? And it's like, Gwaine, this is a child that you left with your unhinged cousin, okay? You left him with your unhinged cousin, and now you're surprised to come back and he's made him king, and Daeron is just like, listen, you know how he is, I just have to survive it, okay? Like, I'm just trying to survive. You left me in a toxic situation, and you went off and ran off, and now you're back, and you have all these opinions about what's happening and the decisions I've made, and it's like, you left me here to navigate this toxicity by myself. I'm a literal child. And you see Daeron is literally begging Gwaine, don't leave me alone with him. Don't go away. And Gwaine is like, listen, I'm going back to the Hightower. I'm basically second in line. And whatever happens here, I need to go back to pick up the pieces when obviously this ends in fire and blood, essentially. And I was just like, really, Gwaine? Really, Gwaine? You're abandoning your nephew again in this situation that you know is gonna end in fire and blood, because you're like second in line and you want to go back to the Hightower so that, when things go awry, as you think they're gonna go awry, you can basically pick up the pieces for House Hightower. And I'm like, you ain't shit. Okay? You ain't shit. And it was really sad when Daeron asked about his mother. I was like, Daeron, you're better off learning about your mother in this sense, because if you met her, you would be disappointed. She's basically sold you down the river, like many times before. And then we go to my girl Helaena Targaryen. I feel so bad for my girl Helaena Targaryen. I'm so worried about my girl Helaena Targaryen. And as of right now, everybody in this show is public enemy number 1, okay? From Alicent to Rhaenyra to Daemon to everybody, okay? Who is making my girl Helena this sad and miserable, okay? All she wants to do is raise chickens and be a mother, okay? So we see that she's basically starving herself because she's worried about her daughter. And she's like, listen, Masaria knew about our plan, but she never mentioned anything about Jaheira. And obviously Allison is like, listen, okay, like, about Jaheira. Jaheira was never really in the plans. And then, obviously Allison makes her excuses. And then, this is the first time that I've seen Helena be actually assertive. She was like, why did you marry me to my brother? Like, why did you do that? Like, is this what you wanted for me? And then Allison has the gall to be like, listen, it was my dad's plan, okay? My dad wanted it. Your grandfather wanted it. It's like, Allison, please take some accountability as well. It was Otto that wanted it as well, but you also didn't want her marrying a bastard, which I understand the implications of Helena marrying a bastard, but you could have had other options to marry Helena out of, House Targaryen. You had other options, okay? You could have married her to your cousin Ormond, for all we know. You know what I'm saying? So we see Helena's been dreaming again because she's sewing. I don't know if it's sewing, whatever she's doing. She's basically sewing where Aemond is. Aemond is at Harrenhal. And then we cut to Aemond at Harrenhal, who's preparing to leave. And then Alyssa Rivers is like, I don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. Let's get together. There's dragons here. There's dragon eggs here from Dreamfire when her rider came after her daughter died. So like, let's be together. Let's make a team. So that's what they're doing. They're aligning because they're basically tired of being abandoned, and basically I guess this is their alliance. I guess. And then we cut to Rhaenyra holding court, which was tragic because Rhaenyra was basically like, I'll light a candle for the girl who's been kidnapped. And I'm like, Rhaenyra, really? This is how you're dealing with your constituents? So people are coming to her with all these problems. They're like, gold cloaks, there's more crime. She's like, I've sent for Valerian men. Somebody's been kidnapped and taken away. Like, it was a girl. Like, the mother house is basically at the mercy of these tyrants out here in Flea Bottom, these criminals. And she's like, girl, I'll light a candle. Like, I'll hold a vigil. Like, I'll think about her. Like, literally, that's all Rhaenyra did. And Mysaria is watching this from the sidelines. And I was just like, really, Rhaenyra? And the Iron Throne cuts her. The Iron Throne cuts her and she ends court there. That was very tragic. It was very tragic. She wasn't even pretending to give a damn about her people, girl. I mean, could you imagine you went to the queen and you tell her like you like somebody has been kidnapped, violated, thrown out, and she's just basically like, I'll light a candle, girl. Really? And then the funny thing is that Ulf bumps into Daemon in Flea Bottom, and basically they have a little confrontation, and basically Ulf gets beat down by Daemon, and I found that funny, and it's gonna come back to bite basically Team Black in the arse. Then we cut back to Tumbleton, where Ulf sneaks into Tumbleton to find his wife, and obviously, like, it does not go the way that he wanted it to go. His wife is very upset. She's like, I never really wanted you to have a dragon. Like, this doesn't change anything. Like, I had to walk from King's Landing to here. Do you know what can happen to a woman? And I was like, Ulf, Hugh. I'm like, Hugh, she was low-key trying to tell you, like, things were hard on the road. I can only imagine, because you can only know Westeros. Westeros is terrible for women, girl. Anyway, so we see that it doesn't go the way that he wanted it to go when it came to his wife. And then we see that, obviously, Ormond, Gwaine, and Daeron have dinner, and obviously the envoy from the Baratheons comes. Obviously, it's not the envoy from the Baratheons, it's the assassins that Rhaenyra sent for Ormond. Ormond is out here, can't smell anything, feeling sick. Gwaine is a badass, okay? He's a badass. Gwaine is like a knight, okay? He handled that situation so well that I was like, wow, Gwaine, I thought you were just like soft, but you're soft and strong? Wow, okay? Anyway, at the end of all of this, we see that basically it was a very slow episode, girl. It was a very slow episode. Basically, Ormond gives his permission for Gwaine to return to Old Town, and then we see Alicent basically talks to Rhaenyra and basically drops the bomb that Helena is a dreamer. Now, I don't know why she thinks Rhaenyra is gonna let her go, and instead of letting them go, Rhaenyra is like, listen, you go find Aemon and you deal with Aemon. I'm gonna keep watch over Helena. And I'm like, the conversation that Helena had with Alicent felt like a goodbye, because I feel like Helena knows that she's never going to see her mom again, but I feel like I just don't understand why you would disclose this secret to Rhaenyra, okay? And I'm worried about my girl Helena. So anyway, I give this episode a C. It was a C. Put in the comment section down below what you guys thought of this episode. I thought it was really slow and it was a filler episode. I'll catch you in the next one. I really hope that it picks up next episode. Welcome to the end of the video, and thank you very much for making it to the end. Make sure you check out Vertigo Honor Bound by Blood, the first installment in the Vertigo book series. It is set in 2095 at the heart of the Imperial Champion regime, where Emperor Gregory Champion rules over Earth and the colonies stretching out across the solar system, where there is a virus called the Omega virus that has mutated and changed the political landscape of Earth. This is a story about factions, about coming of age, about the importance of being firm in what you believe in a world where bloodlines matter. What faction are you?